It's kind of a newer
Medicus almost made me quit golf.
Is that the one that when you bring it back in class?
Oh, it breaks all. Yeah, it's breaking all over the place.
My mission this year is to find one person in the state of Minnesota that can swing a Medicus without it breaking down. I don't
it's like
know.
the sword and the stone. You're just walking around with this Medicus. Oh, can you swing this?
Maybe today's the day at Break80. Want the ball to draw, but it keeps on fading. No OB and no bogeys. I gotta keep it on the 80 as the goal.
When you hit it on one, straight up the gut, baby. Now I got a wedge on my short game cravings. Little bit of edge on the sport makes gravy. So punch out the rough and tune to Break80.
Break80.
Look at this shot. It was amazing.
Break80.
This guy's pretty good.
Break80. Break80.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Break80 podcast coming live from the Minneapolis Convention Center on the final day of the 2023 Choice Bank Golf Show. My name is Jeff, one of the co-hosts of the Break80 podcast. Joining me on the Score North media stage are my co-hosts Mike and Tim, as well as we got a special guest we'll get to here in a minute. After spending some time here at the golf show, fellas, I want to know what are some things that you did, some particular exhibits that you visited, some people you talked with before we get started.
Well, I think we have too many options now for the Break80 Ryder Cup. I think we came in with maybe one or two options in mind to bring anywhere from 12 to 16 people to this summer. And I think we're walking away after visiting a lot of these booths, seeing a lot of the packages that the people have to offer out there with 5 to 7 new options.
Yeah, we have lots of options. I think we got to figure out what we're going to do. I may have fixed my putting.
What that happened quickly.
3 putts, actually. Zach, friend of the pod, with a quick tip. Fixed a little posture, a little stance. Started making some. Indoors, flat. But that's a definite progress for me if we're making anything. So.
Where was that at, Mike?
The Pure Golf thing over there in the middle of the stage or the show area.
You didn't have to go grab a lab putter from Golo Golf and the anti-torque face. You didn't have to try one of those out to fix things. It was
Not
just
yet.
a little bit of stance.
Well, the belly putter turned into an arm lock is over. That lasted about all of 10 minutes. So that experiment's done. So now we're still searching.
We got Wagle Golf here, Noonan Golf, some good clothing options, as well as I think there's the big putt today for the pontoon as well, which should be pretty exciting.
I saw a guy side saddle putting yesterday.
Really?
On that. How long is that putt over there? 100 feet? 100 feet. Side saddle.
That's a sure win. Did he already win the pontoon then?
I don't know.
And if I win, where does it go? Do I put it on the roof of the condo in downtown St. Paul, or do I have to leave it out with our good new friend John Ellis in his place
you got to
in
leave it out,
Wayzata?
Mike.
Well, joining us up here on stage is a guy that we think has done more for Minnesota golf than anybody these past 10 years or so. He's a chiropractor turned golf enthusiast, owner of TwinCitiesgolf, founder of the Public Country Club, and part owner of my hometown course, Wild Marsh. We welcome Kevin Unterreiner to the show. How are you, Kevin?
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Excited to be here on the Break80 podcast. I feel like this is the next step in my journey here.
Goodness, I know we might be holding you back. You're a bit of a golf celebrity.
Yeah.
Anything that happens, especially within public golf here in the Twin Cities, you have your thumb on the scale. That's for certain.
Well, that's how I ended up on the Break80 podcast.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Heard about it and living the dream here. So yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
So kind of a chicken and egg question. Twin Cities Golf or PCC Public Country Club, which one came first, as you're the founder of both?
In 1998, I got this crazy idea to set up the TwinCitiesgolf.com website, mostly because I was frustrated about being able to find courses. So in 1998, if some of you guys probably weren't even born then, but in 1998, if the internet was just kind of coming about, people were starting to use it, and so TwinCitiesgolf.com started 25 years ago. Set up the site, people could find the course, and they just started running weekly tournaments. So TwinCitiesgolf.com came first. After running that tournaments, 2015 was the first year that the Public Country Club was born.
What did that website look like? 1998.
It was. I will send you a picture.
Did it even have photos? Links?
Two photos, 2 photos, and about 75 words. So that was the page one, a couple $1,000. That's what it got you back in 1998.
Wow. Here we are. We're on a mission to start our own website, and we're getting it done by a good friend of the pod, Marty.
Yeah.
We'll try to make sure it has more than 2 photos, though, I hope, and 75 words. But my goodness, that's 1998 online. What a weird place.
Yeah, and it was fascinating because we actually kind of launched at the Minnesota Golf Show. I remember standing in line on the long putt. There was 100 people, and literally 3 out of 4 people didn't even have email. So we'd just say, hey, if you get online, and that was in the days of AOL, the always offline, the telephone dial-in, people couldn't even get on. So I came to my first show in 1998. I collected, I think, 500 emails. I went home on Monday, sent out an email blast, and I got a call from Comcast saying, you can't send out that many emails. Like, that's commercially illegal.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was sitting in my basement out there in Eden Prairie trying to send emails through a telephone dial-up, and it just wasn't working. But luckily, had great relationships. I've always kind of networked with the local golf shops. So we just started running tournaments, having fun. And then I started building websites for the golf courses. And that's how it kind of took off. So by 2001, I was able to do golf full-time and then just practice part-time.
Are you still practicing?
Still 2 days a week. So kind of kept my day job, have a great support team that runs Twin Cities Golf, Public Country Club, the golf course, obviously. And 5 years ago, we started running Inside Edge, the simulator out in Eden Prairie. So just having a blast with it. But
Kind of an obscure simulator group. I've heard rumors that you're part of the ownership of the Lifetime simulators as well.
actually, the Minnesota Golf Lab.
Minnesota Golf Lab.
So we did run the Lifetime simulators for a couple years. They've kind of gone in a little different direction.
Okay.
But we teamed up with Hunter Hoagland over there. He's kind of our main partner, running the Minnesota Golf Lab. So they feature 2 of the About Golf sims over there in Long Lake near Minnetonka. But that's more of a boutique shop. If you're looking for custom fit clubs, you're looking for club repair, lessons, that's a great spot to go. So the Minnesota Golf Lab.
100%. We can all speak to that. We've had Hunter work on some of our things in some way, shape, or form over the years, and you can't really find a better guy that is looking to not make a profit necessarily, but make sure that whatever you're choosing or picking is right for you. So can't recommend him enough. What about the Public Country Club then? When did that start up?
Yeah, so great story with the Public Country Club. And I don't if you guys remember back in 2012, 2013, golf was in a pretty tough spot. I went to the PGA show in 2014, and as we were going to different seminars, the CEO of TaylorMade, Mark King at the time, he stood up on stage and said, hey guys, golf's struggling. 60% of the courses in the United States are losing money. We've got to do something to spruce this game up, to get this younger generation playing. So there were thousands of us in the audience there, and he stood up and he said, hey, I'm going to put up a $1 million prize fund for the idea that helps this game actually get on track and grow again. So it was called Hack Golf. So I don't know if you guys, did any of you guys remember that?
I do not.
I
Okay.
don't.
So this was 2014. So I sat there and I'm like, well, let's see if we can figure out a way to tap into some of that dough. So I went home. That night, my wife turned on American Idol. And then the next night, Big Break was on. So I'm sitting on my couch and I'm thinking, why don't I combine like an audition process, get these people, and then why don't I get 12 people? Let's get them lessons. Let's get them hooked up with a physical therapist, a chiropractor, training. Let's take them through a 12-week program and see how much we can lower their scores. I'll grab my iPhone. I'll grab a GoPro. We'll put it on video, and we'll just document and see what happens. So I created a little mini-series, like a golf reality show. It's called Hack to Jack, the Hack to Jack golf reality show. I submitted it, and out of thousands of worldwide contestants, I won.
Really?
Wow.
Nice.
So that was the hard part. Took a year of production. I mean, you guys do production. Hired a team, put it all together. Got over 1 million views on the YouTube channel even back then. Got an invite to meet with Mark King, the CEO of TaylorMade, at the PGA show the following year. So I told my wife when I left, I'm like, when I come home, we might be done. So I got in a room. It was 8:17. I had to be at this room for a meeting with the CEO of TaylorMade Golf at 8:17 on a Friday morning down at the golf show. I'm sitting on a couch. His secretary comes in. He's like, okay, he's going to be in here in 2 minutes. Are you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Got my hand open for the check, right? So he walks in and says, well, dude, you blew it away. Like, I had twice as many votes as the second place. And it was huge for the local. It was huge for the local golfers. We involved a bunch of courses. He said, "Congratulations. Here's a $25,000 check."
25.
And you
What
were-
happened to the rest?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I asked him. I'm like, in all due respect, sir.
Yeah.
I thought this was like $1 million prize pool. He said, well, we had to spend money on marketing and the website. And they had a WordPress blog
A
website.
free one?
Yeah. So here's the good news: that covered some of the production cost. But because I won that contest in 2016, Golf Inc. magazine did a write-up, and I actually got nominated as one of the top 10 innovators of the year. And what was super cool about that year is that's the same year that Topgolf and a company called Great Life Golf and Fitness over in Sioux Falls in Kansas City also were in the top 10.
Wow.
So at all these summits over the course of the next year with the media and the literally worldwide press coverage, I somehow snuck in there. So the blessing on that was getting that nomination. I was able to travel. I learned about what's going on. I spent the next year just going to all these different markets, trying to figure out what's working, what's not. And my unique angle on all of this has always been I've always wanted to build great relationships with the owner-operators. A lot of these other marketing company stuff, they talk to golfers and say, what do you want? But what I've always done differently is ask the course owners, because I knew that for golf to grow, you have to have healthy golf businesses. If a golf course is struggling, losing money, and they go out of business, the golfers are screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a really unique blend. And keeping my hand in the chiropractic biz, I've never had profit's never been my focus, and we really just focused on building a community of fun golfers. And I'm more passionate now. I mean, I rarely slept the first 10 years I ran, and I'm even more enthusiastic about it now because what you guys are doing and bringing in this new generation, it's so fun. And this is what's going to cause golf to thrive, for years to come.
So jumping back all the way to Hack to Jack when this all started, we're on our own quest here. The Break80 podcast is the quest to qualify. And we have a couple different approaches to how we're going to do it. I'm very fitness focused. I'm trying to make swing changes. Mike admittedly hasn't seen the inside of Planet Fitness recently. What was the biggest drop in overall handicap that you saw in that show? Those people that really followed it? Or should we just all work on our mental game and that's the only thing we need to do?
So here was what was fascinating. We had Mike in the audience there was actually one of the contestants on the show. Whether they were a 4 handicap or whether they were a 30 handicap, if people really take about 12 weeks, and if you work a little bit on the fitness, if you make sure your clubs are custom fit. A big thing was just getting these people showed up at this show and they had like clubs that were too short or too long. They were 3 degrees up, and they had a flat swing. So what we did is when they came on the show, the first thing we did is had them look at their clubs. So we got them all free clubs: Callaway, Nike, Srixon. Everybody got their own set.
There's your $25,000 check right there.
Well, luckily they donated them. So that we did get donated, and I think Mike still plays with a hybrid that he slammed in his trunk, but it works so good. It's like 6 years old. But very consistently, if people get fit for the right set of clubs, you get some real basic swing tips. What do they talk about? Grip, alignment, posture. So many people, they're lining up open or closed or wide. So if they got the custom fit clubs, they got some real basic tips, and then they practiced. So having like home devices, like this little putting stick, and just little things they can do each day. I mean, certainly fitness comes into play because you don't want to get injured. Because if you start banging balls every day, if you're not in shape, you're going to blow a disc or you're going to get tendonitis. So definitely doing that. But there's great programs out there now. This Forever Golf, I don't know if you guys are kind of familiar. It's an online training program that Justin Leonard and a chiropractor actually developed. Scotty Scheffler basically just acknowledges, if you watch the Golf Channel, you'll see commercials, but all these guys, and when I was traveling, luckily being in the media like you guys, I've been inside the ropes out at Torrey Pines during the Farmers Open, and these guys, they're up at 5:30 a.m. They're in the tour van. They're getting stretched out. They're doing some warm-ups. And like you saw with the Full Swing episode now, these guys, sometimes after a tournament, they go to the gym.
Yeah, they're right back at it.
They loosen and stretching up. So if you're going to perform at the level, I really think that if people, and I'd love to team up with you guys this season. Let's get some of your listeners. I have the 12-week program, and let's see if it can maybe help you guys get this the race to qualify. And but the secret is this: the last piece of the puzzle was putting people in an environment where they actually had fun playing.
Yeah.
what we see so many times is that people just grind it out and they're not having fun. They get angry, and then they either quit the game or they just don't enjoy it.
And the hard part about golf is, I think, usually it gets worse first before it gets better. You know, when you're making big changes, you're doing something you're not used to doing, usually they hit it worse for a while, and then they get frustrated, and half people just quit.
Yeah.
Or go back to what they were doing, which was wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. So the Big Break was a show that I don't know if people out there have ever seen. It was such an intriguing show to me. I watching somebody, you know, grind to get on the tour, or at least get a chance to play on the tour, is just something that I think somebody needs to capture again, if any way possible. And so that idea that you had, I think as a golf viewer, watching somebody, you know, try to make it in anything is such a intriguing part of golf for me too. And so when we see like shows like, you know, Full Swing isn't really that, but you've got the Monday Q guy put out, I think it's called Driven, or The Grind, maybe it's called. You know, somebody trying to make it, and or somebody trying to get better is fascinating TV. So the fact that you captured that in a YouTube sense is pretty incredible.
Well, and the super fun, the thing I'm most excited about this year is I'm going to take all the things we've learned over the last 25 years. And starting in 1998, I started running tournaments. I mean, we've literally run 50 tournaments a year for 25 years. Locally, I've watched, we've hosted, we've seen hundreds of thousands of golfers tee it up, and I'm as big of an addict as you guys are. So I think for me, I created Twin Cities Golf because I moved up here. I didn't start golfing until I moved up here. I grew up in St. Louis. I didn't know anybody growing up that played hockey or played golf. Because when you grow up in Missouri, there was one hockey rink within about 50 miles of where I grew up. So when I got up here, I used golf to meet people, and then just got hooked on it. But I wanted to start once. I remember when I first started, I couldn't break 100. I watched some videos. I ordered a VHS tape off from the New York Times newspaper. It was a VHS tape, and it was about the Mo Norman, the natural golf swing.
Love Mo Norman.
So I read this is when we used to wake up and get coffee and actually read the newspaper. A little side section was lower your scores, one plane swing, this Mo Norman, this freak from Canada.
Just that
He's
weird
so
way
good.
to hold the club down your hand.
He is so funny.
Yep. So if you've never YouTube, go watch some old Mo Norman videos. But, you know, it's a guy that, like Ben Hogan said, it was like the purest ball striker he's ever seen.
You still have that swing? It's so upright. Mo Norman just,
mine's
completely.
yeah. There's a modification on it. It's called the Herd Super Swing. It does. If you watch it, you can't really notice, but if you pay attention, it's the 10-finger grip. It's the one plane swing. It's boringly consistent. You hit a high, light fade, but
So we're kind of deep into the history of some golf nostalgia right now. Any weird training aids? Were you a Medicus person? Did you have the orange whip? Is kind of a newer
Medicus almost made me quit golf.
Is that the one that when you bring it back at class?
Oh, it breaks all. Yeah, it's breaking all over the place.
My mission this year is to find one person in the state of Minnesota that can swing a Medicus without it breaking down. I
It's
don't
like
know.
the sword and the stone. You're just walking around with this Medicus. Oh, can you swing this?
They've sold millions of them, and I'm a huge golf aid junkie, but that's cruel. Medicus is a cruel and unusual punishment, in my opinion.
Kevin, I want to real quick capture when you were going around. You said you talked to a lot of the owners of the courses and the people that were running it. How did you get what was the getting the first person to commit? You know, when you're trying to start the public country club, like you've got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
Where was it, and what was your sell, your pitch,
Yeah, luckily by 2015, I'd already been running tournaments for 15 years. I had great relationships with dozens of local operators. After I won the Hack Golf contest, and I came back, and after I studied some of the other models, so that year, like Tim, I was probably in 10 different cities in a year, just bouncing around, one, playing golf, but two, doing some of the media presentations and stuff. And what I realized when I ended up in those couple cities where they were trying this multi-course membership model, that I went and I sat at courses. I would show up at sunrise and I'd see the workers, the 25 to 40-year-old guys getting 9 holes in before they went out to work.
Yep.
And then at 10 o'clock, the seniors show up, from 10 o'clock to 1. And then I sat there and I saw at 3 o'clock the high school kids came out. And then the after work guys came, and then the couples and the dads and the kids would come at sunset. So when I was in these markets, there was only Sioux Falls, South Dakota was honestly the only market in the United States that could say in 2015 we are thriving. I was in Vegas. I was in
Really?
Orlando. I was in we were all over the place. Here,
What was going on in Sioux Falls? I go there weekly.
this multi-course membership model called Great Life Golf and Fitness, where if you live in Sioux Falls, there's only 250,000 people, but so it's about a tenth the size of the Twin Cities, and there's only 17 golf courses roughly in there, and 2 or 3 of them are city, the rest are private. They were all literally ready to shut down. And I met with these owners, and they said we, out of desperation, had to do something completely different. So the owners of the public courses got together and said, guys, let's just all do one membership. And their space where they were doing banquets and weddings had basically dried up. So they said, screw it, we're going to throw in a 24 fitness gym, and we're going to charge $60 a month for not just golf but fitness. So in 2015, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where there's 250,000 people, there's 20,000 people signed up for the multi-course membership program.
Wow.
Their revenues went from an average of about $700,000 a year to about 1.2. So they almost doubled their revenues. And when I remember sitting there in the pro shops, and they said, guys, honestly, our biggest dilemma is we don't have enough instructors to teach all the people getting into the game. We're full from sun up to sundown. Our course is getting destroyed. We got to expand our tee boxes. We got to do some maintenance stuff here. And then I went to the golf shops in Sioux Falls, and I talked to the Ostads. Dave Ostad was a friend who started that. He's like, our sales have doubled. We have young kids playing. We've got parents coming out. And the most entertaining part of that whole trip was I would sit in the bar, and then the guys like you guys would come in.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 o'clock. It was like 5 o'clock. And I would ask them, I'm like, do you play more golf now that you're on this membership program? They're like, yeah, 3 times as much. And I'm like, well, what's the best part about it? And they're like, my wife approves of it. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? They're like, well, I only pay $60 a month.
Yeah.
And they're paying cash for their beers. So they were saying, yeah, she really doesn't know how much I actually spend with wagering and golf because it's all cash under the table.
Well, I can tell you right now, you're losing money on me with the Public Country Club. I get out a ton because of it, but that's, you either got to get a membership at a course and then you're stuck, right? You got to play that course.
Same course all the time, yeah.
And that can lose somebody's attention, right? You can get sick of playing golf because of that.
Yeah.
The variety and being able to play and be flexible is a awesome thing.
Yeah, I don't think you could have said it better. What I think we tapped into is that this next generation, I'm 52. My parents' generation, they only played one course ever. I mean, if you went to most courses in the 1980s, they had 300 to 400 people in their men's club, and it was the same 400 people that played 40 or 50 rounds a year. That's 20,000 rounds a year. Now you go to a course, they'll still do 25,000 rounds, but the average person only plays there 3 or 4 times a year. I mean, you guys, especially your generation, my son's 25. I mean, it's been great to stay connected with the generation after me. They love the variety. They love the adventure, the fun part. It's not stuffy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I go to so many small towns, I'm sure you guys too. There are still courses. It's pretty cool to walk in there, and it's the good old boys club. Mm-hmm. But that's a 70s and 80s model. The growth of the game, and this is my 100% focus for as long as I can keep swinging a club, is just to really show people how fun golf can be. I think we've gotten this surge with COVID. The way we're going to keep it is that if this younger generation and if people can actually have access through different programs, whether it's a season pass or a PCC program or whatever it takes, and then if we can just continue to show people how relationships are built and how much fun you can have on the course. And the beauty of YouTube and TikTok and all these is that people are discovering it. So, I mean, my son, 25, he played on the Eden Prairie high school team for 4 years. And I remember he came home to his first year after his first practice freshman year, and it was 3 o'clock on a Monday, and he was sitting in the basement playing video games. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, the coach told the team to go back to your club and practice. He was the only kid on the Eden Prairie High School team in 2015 that didn't belong to a private club that cost $50,000 to join, $20,000 a year. So I'm like, we're going to fix this. Get your clubs. We're going to the range. But it was a sad testimony that even as around 2015 to 2019, when he was in high school, most kids his age did not play golf. I mean, he's out now. He's a sales guy for CDW doing tech sales. I mean, every week he's got kids his age saying, will you teach me how to play golf? And if you're in a business and you don't play golf now, you're behind. He said he went to his first year marketing class out at University of Arizona, and literally he said that the first thing my business professor told me is that you're going to have, if you don't golf, you should learn, because if you're going to be in the business world, you need to know how to golf. And
100%.
he spent the next 4 years, because in Arizona, they network with all the Silicon Valley bigwigs. He got to play with exec techs from Apple and all these tech companies. He was playing with congressmen and because he was a good player, he's like, he can probably hit it as far as you guys can. But because he was a good player, he got invited, and he got tremendous opportunity and not to mention fun. So he was the scramble guy he was the fourth guy that got invited to the scramble.
You're really selling Mike to go into sales even more.
Yeah, I think one thing with the younger generation is they love simulator golf too, more than the older generation. I listened to Michael Breed on the radio one day, and he was talking about the PGA show this year was just like, it's in a big convention center like this, was a ton of sim stuff.
Yeah.
More than ever. And he said eventually you're going to have a 2-handicap system where people are going to carry an indoor handicap and an outdoor handicap for sure, because all these apartment buildings that are getting built, a lot of them are putting simulators in there, and bars are putting sims in it. It's really growing. So that's one way that I think young people.
Well, what do you guys think about all the tournaments where you can go and you can go to a Minnesota Golf Lab, and if you're on a Bout Golf system, you can compete against people all over the world? Have you guys been following any of the progress?
I've seen that you can do that. I've not done it, but
I've played in a couple. Didn't fare quite as well as I hoped.
Yeah.
There's definitely, you get a brand alliance almost, where you're
Yes.
About Golf or you're E6 or you're the GC Quad, and there's the short game is all a little bit different, so
Yep.
you kind of have to pick and choose what you're going to specialize at. But it's so much more fast-paced in the sim, or talking about PCC having 150 courses on a membership. There's just something more stimulating to really that younger golfer, that new golfer, where they can play something different, or they can play
Yeah.
particularly fast. So many different courses
Yeah.
through your program and through simulated golf.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge driver for the youth.
Well, did you guys hear too? Troon just teamed up with GolfZone. They're gonna start doing some of these worldwide tournaments.
They're not all going to be Korean courses on GolfZone anymore?
We will see.
do they use their normal GIN outdoor handicap, or do they have an actual indoor
Some
one?
of the HD Golf has, I believe, their own built-in handicap system. But you're right. I mean, I play at Inside Edge that we run. We have 4 tournaments a week. 4 times a week, people can come in, play in these, whether it's an individual stroke or a skins game. And you're right. I mean, it's outside. I'm at least 5 strokes better in the simulator.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'm way better outside. Like simulator full swing stuff. But chipping and putting and everything is so much harder. For somebody, if you're using your normal handicap, it's not the same as you're kind of at a disadvantage.
We're going to make a case study of you, because we're going to get you in between me and my guys over there. We're gonna fix that.
Mike, you might be the only one that's worse in a simulator.
I am 100%
because
worse.
there's no rough, there's no undulations,
We will fix that.
There's no tree branches actually in your swing pathway.
Tim and I went the other day, and I 4-putted once for double. I was chipping over greens. I was like, there's no way this can be right.
All right. Next year at this time, have me back on the show, and we're going to get an update. But Big Mike's going to dramatically lower his
indoor
Hack to jack on simulator only.
indoor scores.
Kevin, where are some of those first courses that said yes?
Yep. So we had Montgomery National. Emerald Greens has always been a good supporter. Southern Hills, Edinburgh. Those are some that come into mind. So we started off first year 2015. I got 12 courses, and I really, to answer your question about how I got it started, I just came back and I asked these guys. I'm looking for 12 courses that want to do an experiment. I was very upfront with them. I looked at them and I just said, I don't know if this is going to work here, guys. Because when I chatted with the Great Life guys, I actually asked them, are you guys franchising this? This is a great concept. I know owners. We could probably get this rolling. And they looked at me and they said, this will never work in Minnesota because it's too short of a season.
It's the same as Sioux Falls.
I'm just telling you what they told me. So I came back and said, well, maybe I'll try it on my own. So I talked with them, and I just looked at the owners, and I'm just like, would you guys be willing to – I think I can get 500 people to sign up and try this. If I think we want to limit it to 12 courses to drive you enough play. And then luckily I hooked up with Mike, my PCC partner, and he was a finance major at the University of Minnesota, Carlson School of Management. He knew how to do projections and finances. So what we did right from day one is if a course signed up, we took good care of them. We drove them quality people. We took care of any issues. And every month, we showed them exactly how much money it drove them. So what we were able to prove that first year is that if you try the program, it helped their bottom line.
On a Tier 1, so for the listeners, a Tier 1 golf course on PCC generally doesn't cost any dollars to pay.
The greens fees covered,
The
correct.
greens fees covered. Unless you get a cart, then
Yep.
extra cost there, obviously.
Yep.
Beverages, additional cost. A Tier 1 golf course, where do they get their revenue from PCC? Is it a split of overall dues? Is it the volume of purchasing things like snacks, golf cart, and beverages?
A combination of both. So what's really unique about the program is that courses get paid for every round. You know, the mantra these days, so many courses are trying to move away from giving stuff away. You know, a lot of these other programs, either the Groupon comes to them and says, hey, we'll give you half of, we want you to charge half and we'll give you half of what we collect. Well, that's 25 cents on the dollar. Some of the other programs out there, they ask the courses, give us, 1, 2, 3 tee times a day that we can sell on our own. And again, what the courses have realized is that, they still at the end of the year have to pay the bills. And as a marketing guy, too, I've always told them that try stuff. If at the end of the year your revenues and profitability goes up, then I would keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
If you bring in a new program and your revenues go down, you should get rid of it. So I was super upfront with them, and that was one of the biggest things we did right was we just said, if you try this and it's helping you, stick with it. If not, dump it. I mean, I was fully prepared. I had no idea if it would work here. Because, yeah, guys do pay their $65 a month year-round, so it's $800 a year for a season pass. But I don't know if you've checked prices lately, but when you go to course, that's about what they charge. So it really does come down to a decision of, are you a golfer that likes to play at one course? Do you like more of the weekend mornings at 10 a.m.? If you do that, you're going to have to do a season pass or just pony up and pay your $60, $70 a round. But if you've got a little flexibility, you want to try some different courses, that's what worked. And at the end of the first year, the 12 courses, we just sat down and were like, was it a good deal? Was it a good quality customer? Did it fill your non-prime times? And at the end of the year, how did the revenue compare to your other programs? Your season pass, your public play, your Groupon, your 2-for-1 cards. And what we have consistently found over the past 5 years and hundreds of thousands of rounds, and the reason it's grown, I think, to 165 courses, 100% of that have come back the last 2 years, is because if you're an operator and you look at how do I get new quality younger people out to my course without spending, it doesn't cost anything to be in the program, and it's month to month. You can drop it any time if you don't love it. So at the end of the year, when you compare all your different programs, what these courses are realizing is that it's a valuable addition. And
it sounds like you've got a lot of great analytics behind the scenes of this going on. Are there any particular PCC courses that saw the most volume of rounds through the program?
Yeah. So some of the top 5
favorites.
So Emerald Greens, have you guys played Emerald Greens?
Oh yeah.
So they have 36 holes.
I think they're going to open in like a couple weeks, probably, right?
I
always one of the first.
I was part of a group on your. I played in one of your end of the year scramble big championships years ago, and we made an albatross on for the only skin on a par 5. We won the tournament and made an albatross. It wasn't me, but I took my portion of the skins money, of course.
That's what it's all about. But
what about ownership now? You have a golf course. You're part owner of Wild Marsh. What's that been like? That whole experience.
I think for any avid golfer, everybody dreams of maybe being involved with a course. It's a lot more work. So there's 4 of us. It's been a dream. If you get the chance, it's always more work than you expect. It's like if you love food, and you buy a restaurant. What you have to be really careful about with that is that you don't let it overwhelm you, and that's what's nice. I play a minor role, more help with promotion at this point, but we've got great staff out there. Brad Benke, who runs the ponds as primary out there, does just an unbelievable job. We brought in a new soup. The soup came over from Bent Creek. That's a little more familiar with the bent grass. Out there, as you know, it's bent grass. It's a Graham Marsh design. Graham Marsh, he's done some top 100 courses, in the world. So to have that, it's really special, and it's nice to be able to. The most positive thing about it is when you just hear people say, "I played it and I love the course."
You're trying to bring a little bit of a laid-back vibe too, because I stopped in last year and ping pong table in there. Some other new amenities in the clubhouse now for really the younger golfer.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. When I think that's the future. We brought in some ping pong tables, entertainment room, but just the staffing. The biggest thing I see that makes the biggest difference with golf courses now is culture. If you're in corporate world, they talk about it, but it's even more important in the entertainment industry. When you guys go to enough different courses where you walk in and the first thing they say to you is credit card, please.
Yeah.
You know, have you played Have you played in Scottsdale lately?
Oh yeah, you're just there.
Yeah.
Just
So
there.
you show up, question number, tea time, credit card. Yeah, I mean that's the mentality. What we find here, when I traveled last year, I drove 29,000 miles and I did meetings with 142 courses. What I realized the last 5 years is the courses that do the best are the ones that are fun, friendly, playable, and somewhat affordable. And so that's what we tried to duplicate there, and it's been very cool for me. In 1998, when I started running tournaments, I would call a course and say, hey, I want to do a tournament. They're like, oh, great, our green fee's 50, but we're going to charge you 60 because we have to block off those tee times because we're full all day every day. And back then, it was a we don't need you mentality. You know, and if the only sad thing I've seen about the last year or two is when courses are so full, there's a tendency for some courses to kind of be drifting towards this. Let's jack up the prices. Let's get as much money as we can. And if we don't like you, I can replace you.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing, we wanted to make sure out at Wild Marsh, and most of the courses in Minnesota are great. I think 95% of courses in Minnesota have not gone to the dark side yet on that. But we just really want to make sure that if people come out, obviously a great product, but friendly reception. We got fun stuff going out there all the time.
You should one big change you should do, groundbreaking. Change the ranger mentality. We always see the older ranger. He's always 70 years old. He's in his retirement. Got to pull the college kid off. He's playing Dave Matthews. Got a surfer mentality. He's like, man, can we just speed it up a little bit?
Well, maybe
a
you guys
minutes faster.
Maybe you guys can help me with this, and this is your fast track to billionaire status. If you can help us figure out pace of play management at a golf course without offending customers.
The worst is in the golf cart when it's like you're 12 minutes behind pace of play and you're like, I'm on their ass. I'm moving as fast as I can.
You know, during COVID when they gapped the tee times a little longer, we always moved pretty well then, but I suppose then you had less play, less money, so they all went back to the classic time again, kind of.
Yeah, it's based on courses. A lot of courses have settled in with the 10-minute intervals, which tends to work pretty well. But here's the dilemma, guys. You 200 golfers in a day. You know, if you have one foursome that's slow, the third group out, like there's 170 golfers behind them. Like, are you going to say something and possibly upset, one or two guys, or are you going to have 170 people stopping in your pro shop, yelling? It's a terrible dilemma, honestly.
Yeah.
So the GPS helps. Sometimes that helps, but nobody's figured it out. Like I read USGA blogs and PGA blogs. And honestly, the last 2 years, it's the number one question that I've been asking courses, like because if you have faster pace of play, people get done earlier. They go into the bar and have a beer before they go home. You end up at a 5-hour round, guys are like, I got to get home. My kids and wife are at home. I can't stick around. So there's a financial motivation for courses to figure this out. But I think the etiquette part of it, COVID brought a lot of new people into it. I mean, if you show up and you're shooting 120, you're going to play longer than you guys that shoot 70. So it's a dilemma. I think the solution is being friendly is always the right solution. But.
Well, in golf, when you play around a golf, it's like that integrity piece, right? So there's not really somebody that's a referee walking around and telling you have to do this or that. When you lose a golf ball, the rule is 3 minutes, but who actually follows it?
Yeah.
There's people that'll sit there and look at their ball and look for their ball for 10, 15 minutes. And I don't know how you could ever, unless you got somebody in every single hole monitoring it, you just can't. I don't know how you're going to ever get past that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. Well, Tim, have you guys played in Europe?
I've played the old course.
So if the one thing that's dramatically different about the United States than some of the other countries, but Europe, is in Europe, a lot of these courses you have to have a handicap. You have to have a handicap. You have to get trained in the etiquette of the game and the expectation for pace of play. It's in the United States, we kind of run and gun it.
Yeah.
Somebody sees a TV show or they hear golf is cool, they go to Top Golf, and then they make a 10 a.m. tee time on a Saturday on Father's Day weekend, and it's their first round of golf. They show up and they're like, can I use those range balls for my ball?
That's what I was going to say, because we coach high school golf too, and it's just there's so many players, kids, adult, that lack awareness of what's going on out there.
100%.
They're just in their own little world.
Yeah.
They don't see that there's two groups backed up behind them. They're just dinking around, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. There was wanted to try to launch it, and it never really gained ground. But so over in Europe, it's basically a certification program. You know, in Germany, it's super strict. Like, you have to go through a class, and you can't get on a course unless you have a certification card. So I always thought courses should kind of team up and offer like a certified golfer program where if you went through this program, then you can book your 9 a.m. to noon weekend tee times.
Not a bad idea.
If you're not kind of a certified golfer, then you're welcome to play Twilight. You're welcome to play. Again, I don't think we could get away with it just with discrimination.
I like the idea,
and stuff,
though. I like the idea.
PCC does have that box that you select your handicap, right? So there is some of that selection process already occurring in your system at least. So we can expect PCC players to maybe be a little bit quicker, a little bit better.
No, the reason PCC guys are good is because I basically tell them if you cause trouble, unfortunately, we're going to have to pause your membership.
And we're all out there playing 100 rounds a year, so we should be able to get better.
But that's part of the process. We do make them. You have to fill out a waiting list, and that the purpose of that is not to discriminate. It is to make people aware that if you join this program, we expect a little bit better etiquette.
Yeah.
Like, you got to make a tee time. You got to show up on time. You got to be polite. Like, fix your divots, pace of play. Like, there's so many unique pieces of the puzzle that I think have made the Public Country Club work, and it's a huge one.
When I played the old course, there was a handicap max.
Yeah.
They would not. I can't remember what it was. It was pretty high, but they weren't letting anybody out there that couldn't meet that handicap number.
Yeah. No, it's for the. I think the solution is for a ranger and a starter. It's an expectations thing. Hey guys, welcome to the course. Here's the deal. We've got a full course. Our pace of play expected is 2 hours 10 minutes per round. If you stay on pace, we've got a reward for you after the round. Here's a 2-for-1 coupon in the bar. If you get a little behind, we're going to come up and maybe we'll help you find some balls. And if you get caught up within the next 2 holes, here's a free drink ticket. So as a parent, I've got 2 kids. I think if we approach it more as a caring, passionate parent versus, the drill sergeant, I think it's received a lot better.
How many of these coupons could I get if I finished in an hour? Because you might see me inside real quick.
We're gonna have to time you this year.
You'll see me jogging.
Do you know who has the local world record for fastest 18-hole rounds? It's Eddie Wynn. He was at Stone Ridge, but now he's out at U of M. So let's match you up against
Tim,
Eddie Wynn.
What do you shoot?
It was like an hour and 3 minutes, and he shot like 72.
Oh my God! Oh yeah.
You're in trouble.
Oh, that's gonna be hard.
But no, we got to do this because that
would be sick.
Do you push card it or do you?
He was in you can do a cart.
He was in a cart.
Oh, you get to be in a car.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you're going to need a co-pilot because a co-pilot drives. You literally just hit your shot,
Jump
and run.
out.
You take too many practice swings.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of no practice swings.
Let's do it at Wild Marsh. We'll.
That's going to be a tough one though. We need a condensed course.
All right.
Some of the drives.
We'll go to Emerald Greens. Then.
Yep. That's perfect.
You won't lose a ball. You won't be jumping any sand traps.
That's perfect. Or our favorite Shamrock before it closes.
Shamrock, yeah.
That's for
Well,
sure.
Kevin, we'll let you get going here in a second. Before we do that, though, I want to talk about things that you got coming up, new things that you're developing and trying, and anything that maybe the listeners or the people out here can look forward to or be a part of.
Yeah, so three things. If you're more the recreational golfer, you like to drink beer, and every week we're going to have 2-person team scramble, and we've got this really fun concept called team match play. So you can sign up, 2-person team, best ball, match play. You can pick your course. You have 3 weeks to finish your round. It's like a March Madness for golf. We get a couple hundred teams. Personally, it's the highlight of my year, to grab another. And we got A and B divisions. So if you're more of a competitive, maybe if you're a teen or less handicap, I think the cap on that is 15 handicap. Go on to TwinCitiesgolf.com. It's the Twin Cities Golf Team Match Play. If you're a single-digit handicap, and you think you can maybe one day play on the PGA Tour, you want to see what it's actually going to feel like, we're launching a Minnesota Mini Tour. So the way that'll work is every week you'll have that week to go play a course. We've got live scoring now with all these fancy apps and Golf Genius. You can see a live leaderboard. You'll get Twin Cities Cup points. Instead of the FedEx Cup, it's going to be the Twin Cities Cup. We've got about a $5,000 a year in prize purse. So the more you play and the better you play, the more you earn. You can see how you kind of stack up against other studs locally. So that's an option. But the thing I'm most excited about, and I'd love to have you guys on it, is having watched these big break shows, the Full Swing episodes, done the Hack to Jack Golf reality show, I'm going to combine all of the most fun things that we've done over the past 25 years, and we're going to start doing a weekly golf reality mini docu-series. It's going to be called Out of Bounds. Every week we're going to bounce around to a different course, and we're going to have 4 celebrities, like you guys, forming a team. It's going to be 2-person team challenges, and we're going to do skills contests like the Big Break.
Sweet.
But courses will let me go out, and we'll be doing things that they would never
break
allow.
some glass.
Yeah, I was going to say, bring some windows, right?
They would never allow you to do the stuff that we're going to do, and I got drones and GoPros, and we're gonna show the world how much fun it's going to be.
They have not seen where I've found myself on the golf course. Right? Like, we have to hit a massive slice around 17 trees out of this deep patch of woods.
We're putting this glass window about 40 yards left of the green, and can you break it? Tim, right away. First try.
I would love to have you guys. So if you go to TwinCitiesgolf.com, all the stuff that we're doing, you'll be able to find out. But the Out of Bounds series, I'll start May 1st. We've got a 24-week schedule. But yeah, oftentimes you guys want to come out every week. I'd love to have you.
Well, we can attest to the match play. We've all played in that. In the last couple of years, it's been a really fantastic thing. It's a competitive thing. It's a fun to get to know people thing. You're texting with the guy that you need to play, or the guys that you're playing with. So you meet guys, and then you're fighting to win that division or whatever. And
Now, Jeff, did you win your flight?
I did.
Did you get a trophy or a big check or what?
There's a conspiracy that I only play at certain courses.
It's the triangle. Monty, Wild Marsh, and Albion. It doesn't leave that in any kind of match that matters.
They agree to it, then that's how it works.
That's a solid lineup.
So
awesome.
Well, we've really appreciated, Kevin. You've done so much for golf in the last, I said 10, but I'll spread that out to 25 years. That's incredible, everything that you've done and all the forward-thinking things that you do each year to try to bring better golf to Minnesota. And you've got me playing a lot more golf, these guys playing a lot more golf. I'm sure a lot of listeners playing a lot more golf, which is probably the result that you wanted when you started it. So we appreciate that.
My pleasure, guys.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Maybe today's the day I break 80. Want the ball to draw, but it keeps on fading. No OB and no bogeys. I gotta keep it on the 80. It's the goal, G.
Would you hit it on one? Straight up the gut, baby. Now I got a wedge on my short game cravings. Little bit of edge on the sport makes gravy. So punch out the rough and tune to break 80.
Break 80. Break 80.
Look at this shot. It was amazing.
Break 80.
This guy's pretty
Break
good.
80. Break 80. Break 80.
In your life have you seen anything like that?